trapped by others' opinions, frustrated by conflicts, and weighed down by negativity. Sounds familiar? I'm sure it does. We've all been caught up in the day-to-day struggles of dealing with people. Sometimes it feels like, no matter how hard we try, misunderstandings and stress follow us as if they've been programmed into our experience. But what if I told you that there's a way to change this? A way to program your mind to combat this programming? Welcome to Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that offers practical tools for modern problems. And no, it's not about being emotionless or detached. It's about finding peace, strength, and purpose, especially in the way we handle relationships. Stoicism teaches us how to care less about others' opinions, practice honesty, and even embrace patience and compassion as a way to solve problems with people. Because that's how we solve problems with people, by thinking clearly and using every tool at our disposal, not just a few. The Stoics understood that we can't control others, but we can control our response to them. They developed techniques to help us maintain our inner peace, rise above pettiness, and focus on what truly matters. Imagine feeling grounded and unbothered by criticism, confident in your own values, and steady in the face of life's ups and downs. Imagine the freedom of letting go of the need for approval, the power of responding with kindness, and the joy of living authentically. If you truly embrace the Stoic path, you won't need to imagine, you'll experience all that. In today's video, we'll explore 8 Stoic tips for solving problems with people. Whether you're dealing with a difficult colleague, a challenging family member, or just the everyday stresses of modern life, these Stoic principles can help you create more meaningful, resilient connections and ultimately a more peaceful life. The Stoic way. If you appreciate what we are doing here, do us a simple, free favor by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And do watch the video till the end to get the mindfulness needed to transform your relationships with others. We post videos that explore Stoicism and its principles every week, sometimes multiple times a week, whenever serious consideration and thought allow it. Care less about people's opinions. When it comes to solving problems with people, it's important to understand that the majority of those problems come about because we see them as such. A prime example of this effect is finding problems with others' opinions. When their opinions could be dismissed as just what they are, their opinions, nothing more, nothing less, we cling to them, creating problems when we can simply ignore them. What's worse is that the problems we perceive when we entertain others' opinions and are affected by them often make us question our values and self-worth. On the surface, many of us may think we're indifferent to others' views, yet how often do we alter our actions or decisions just to avoid friction or to keep the peace? We slip into others' expectations almost automatically, adopting conventional views or taking someone else's assessments of us at face value. Over time, this can lead us to forget what we genuinely value, how we would think or act if left to our own inner compass. The Stoics remind us that true worth, whether of an object, person, or idea, isn't swayed by popularity or rejection. Whether someone admires or dismisses it, its value remains unchanged. Consider how easily we let others' opinions shape our self-view. A compliment might make us feel confident, as though it confirms our worth, while an insult can feel like a blow to our core. Yet by tying our self-worth to the shifting tide of others' opinions, we surrender the control we have over our own sense of value. The Stoics offer a perspective that's both liberating and challenging. If someone tries to diminish you, their opinion alone doesn't have the power to do so. Only you can choose to adopt that opinion, letting it penetrate your self-image. The real power lies within you, to either accept or dismiss it, preserving your sense of worth untouched by the fluctuations of praise or criticism. So, how do we begin to cultivate this freedom from external valuation? It starts with objectivity, the skill of looking at people, things, and even ourselves without being swayed by outside judgments. When others express opinions on what is beautiful, successful, or worthy, recognize that these are reflections of their own beliefs and biases, not universal truths. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, it is not what others think of us that upsets us, but rather what we think of what others think. It's a powerful shift. When we dismiss the opinion within us that clings to others' views, we free ourselves from the need for validation. We begin to see that peace comes not from others' approval, but from our own perspective. The Stoics also encourage a practice that is both empowering and humbling when facing others' judgments. When someone offers an opinion of you, be it positive or negative, respond with a sense of indifference, contempt, or even a welcoming spirit. This doesn't mean ignoring or shutting out feedback entirely. It means training yourself to be steady and unaffected by their judgments. You aren't controlled by whether they think highly or lowly of you, whether they deem you a success or a failure. Instead, by grounding yourself in Stoic wisdom, you cultivate a resilience that renders others' opinions powerless over your peace of mind. You remain rooted in your principles, unaffected by external praise or disapproval. The result of this inner freedom is a clearer, more authentic view of the world and yourself. No longer swayed by the endless waves of opinion, you gain a quiet confidence that comes from knowing your own mind and your own worth. You become the evaluator of your own life, taking stock of things as they truly are, not as they appear through the lens of approval or rejection. This is the Stoic path, to recognize the worth of things based on truth, not on what others deem valuable, and to live with a calm sense of purpose, grounded in your own inner strength. By freeing yourself from the need for validation, you'll discover that your self-worth is no longer a fragile construct that could shatter with a single insult or inflate with a fleeting compliment. Instead, you gain an unshakable foundation, a kind of quiet strength that stands firm in any circumstance. This is the heart of Stoicism, the realization that while the world and its opinions will shift, your inner value, rooted in courage, wisdom, and self-control, remains steadfast. And so, the ultimate gift of this practice is a life of authenticity and freedom, one that isn't chained to others' opinions, but guided by your own understanding of what is truly valuable. And guess what more? Less problems with people. Be honest. When we think of honesty, we often reduce it to simply not telling lies. But Stoicism encourages us to look deeper. Honesty isn't just about refraining from deception. It's about living in harmony with our inner values. True honesty is when our words, actions, and thoughts are aligned, when there's no gap between who we are inside and who we show to the world. This type of honesty builds an unshakable foundation of integrity, a solid base that allows us to handle life's challenges with resilience and clarity. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's great teachers, taught that honesty isn't just a moral virtue, it's a practical one. Deceit, he explains, requires us to keep track of our lives, to cover up half-truths, and to live with the anxiety of being exposed. Lies create mental clutter. They weigh us down and prevent us from being fully present. Honesty, on the other hand, is simple and liberating. When we're honest, we don't have to look over our shoulders. We don't have to keep a running script of what we've said or done. We can live openly, with a clear mind and a light heart. This clarity extends beyond our interactions with others. It also transforms our relationship with ourselves. Honesty with ourselves means looking inward and facing our true thoughts, strengths, flaws, and aspirations without sugarcoating. When we're honest with ourselves, we can grow. We can acknowledge our areas for improvement, celebrate our genuine strengths, and embrace our vulnerabilities. Honesty clears away the mental clutter that blocks our growth, making space for real self-understanding and self-acceptance. This kind of honesty doesn't just deepen our sense of peace, it strengthens our relationships. When we're honest with others, we foster trust and respect, the bedrock of any meaningful connection. This isn't about utopian ideals. People appreciate authenticity and feel safer around someone who shows up genuinely and says what they mean. This is particularly powerful in difficult conversations, where honesty might be uncomfortable, but ultimately leads to mutual respect and understanding. When we approach conflicts with transparency rather than evasion, we often find that others respond in kind, opening the door to more genuine and constructive interactions. Of course, embracing honesty is no small feat. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to confront our mistakes and weaknesses. When we choose to be honest, we sometimes have to admit that we were wrong, acknowledge where we fell short, or take responsibility for our actions. This can be uncomfortable, even humbling. But the rewards of living truthfully, trust, respect, and a clear conscience are invaluable. Each time we face a difficult truth, make no mistake, we grow a little stronger, a little more resilient. Each moment of honesty adds to our sense of inner peace and strengthens our relationships. So, how can we cultivate this profound honesty in our everyday lives? Begin by practicing transparency in your interactions. Notice when you're tempted to say something just to fit in or avoid conflict, and try to speak authentically instead. Reflect on your day each evening and examine moments where you might not have been entirely honest. Ask yourself why. Were you afraid of judgment? Did you feel pressured to please? Reflecting on these moments helps us understand ourselves better and identify patterns we can work on. Remember, this is about taking it slow, one step at a time. Next, try the powerful Stoic practice of self-reflection. This is where you get to be honest with yourself. Take time each day to ask yourself, how far am I still from being honest and true to myself? When you catch yourself falling into old habits, don't judge yourself harshly. Remember that honesty is a journey, not a destination. Each step you take toward greater authenticity strengthens your inner resilience and clarity. Most importantly, remember that honesty with yourself sets the stage for all other forms of honesty. When you're honest about your own strengths and weaknesses, it's easier to be honest with others. That means there are fewer problems you need to solve when it comes to them. You're less likely to feel the need to hide or impress because you've come to accept yourself as you are. This acceptance frees you from the exhausting need for approval, allowing you to build relationships on genuine connection rather than on a facade. Don't take things personally. We've all experienced it. That sharp sting, the sudden flood of emotion when someone's words or actions strike a nerve. It feels personal, sometimes painfully so, and our first instinct is often to react, to defend, to push back, or to retreat in hurt. But Seneca invites us to step back from this immediate reaction. He suggests that what others say or do is rarely about us at all, even if they maintain that it is. People act based on their own unique perceptions, struggles, and insecurities, often without any real awareness of how their behavior might impact others. Imagine this. Every person moves through the world wearing a unique pair of glasses, lenses colored by their past experiences, their fears, and their personal struggles. This lens shapes how they see everything and everyone around them, including us. When someone snaps, criticizes, or even insults us, it's often a reflection of what's happening inside them rather than anything we did. Think about a time when you acted out of character. Maybe you snapped at a friend or gave a cold response to a loved one. Chances are you were dealing with stress, insecurity, or simply having a difficult day. Recognizing this in ourselves makes it easier to extend that same understanding to others. Seneca's advice here is both liberating and protective. He teaches us that when we stop taking things personally, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain. When we realize that everyone's actions are colored by their own glasses, their own struggles, we can let go of the need to react defensively. It's like setting down a heavy weight we've been carrying. Suddenly, we can move with more ease and freedom. We're no longer tethered to the opinions and reactions of others. But how do we do this? How do we stop taking things personally, especially in those heated moments when our emotions have already flared up? The first step is simple but powerful, and one we often visit here at the Weekly Stoic: the pause. The importance of this pause cannot be emphasized enough. To train your mind to respond, not react, the pause is the most important tool in your Stoic toolkit. When you feel that wave of anger, hurt, or frustration, just pause. Take a breath and remind yourself that the other person's actions or words might not be about you at all. This pause creates a space between the stimulus and your response, a space that gives you control. During this pause, think of Seneca's perspective shift as a shield, a layer of mental armor that deflects reactive thoughts. Tell yourself, this reaction isn't about me, it's a reflection of what they're going through. This doesn't mean you condone hurtful behavior, but it does mean you don't let it wound you unnecessarily. By remembering that each person's actions are colored by their personal struggles, you protect your peace of mind and avoid being pulled into a spiral of emotional reaction. In addition to pausing, practice building resilience and understanding. Over time, make it a habit to remind yourself that you don't have the full picture of what someone else is experiencing. This practice requires humility. It means acknowledging that we don't know everything, that we can't see into others' minds. But this perspective keeps us grounded. It makes us less likely to be wounded by other people's actions and words, especially when they don't align with our expectations. And here's the truth: despite our best efforts, we will still feel hurt at times. But rather than viewing these moments as failures, we can see them as opportunities to deepen our Stoic practice. When you do get hurt, tell yourself, maybe it's not even about me, maybe they're hurting more than I am. Each moment of hurt is a practice ground for building resilience, for learning to stand firm in your peace of mind, regardless of others' actions. Over time, you'll find yourself becoming less reactive, more centered, and more understanding. This Stoic approach doesn't just protect us, it enhances our relationships. By not taking things personally, we allow ourselves to respond with empathy rather than defensiveness. We open ourselves to more compassionate interactions because we understand that everyone has their own struggles, their own battles. In doing this, we start to see the humanity in everyone. So the next time someone's words or actions hit a nerve, remember this: pause, breathe, and remind yourself of Seneca's wisdom. Ask yourself if this reaction might be a reflection of the other person's struggles rather than a true attack on you. In that pause, you gain control, and in that control, the capacity for solving problems with people or stop seeing them where there are none. Be patient. When Marcus Aurelius wrote about patience, he saw it as more than just waiting or enduring. It was an active, purposeful way of engaging with life's challenges. For him, patience was like a shield, a form of mental armor that transformed irritants and delays into exercises in endurance and calm. To practice patience in the Stoic sense is to take control of your experience, to find calm in the face of inconvenience, and to meet life on its own terms, not yours. When you choose patience, you become an active participant in the present rather than a passive recipient of irritation. This applies when dealing with difficult people too. We all encounter individuals whose actions or words can be challenging or even offensive. The Stoic response is not to ignore these behaviors, but to respond with patience, seeing the person's behavior as more about them than about you. Yes, indeed. This isn't about condoning poor behavior, but responding to it with thoughtfulness rather than impulsiveness. Imagine, instead of reacting with irritation, you take a moment to consider that the person in front of you may be acting out of their own stress, fear, or frustration. Giving them the benefit of the doubt, or at the very least, not letting their behavior dictate your peace of mind, allows you to respond with grace and composure. This small act of patience can diffuse tension, prevent misunderstandings, and often leads to better outcomes for everyone involved. And keep in mind, often this is the minimum you must do. Patience, in this Stoic sense, is a way of embracing each moment, obstacle, or delay as part of life's path, not a deviation from it. The delays, the irritations, and the unexpected turns are all part of the journey. Stoicism teaches us that each moment of impatience is a chance to practice, to deepen our understanding of ourselves, and to cultivate a resilient, serene mind. When we encounter an obstacle, patience transforms it from a source of stress into a stepping stone toward inner growth. Cultivating this kind of patience in our daily lives begins with awareness. Recognize when impatience is starting to bubble up inside you. Maybe it's when a coworker is talking too long, a friend is running late, or your family member is testing your patience. Notice those initial feelings of irritation or frustration, then pause and take a deep breath. Use this moment to remind yourself of Marcus Aurelius and the countless other Stoics who have faced far greater challenges with patience and dignity. By grounding yourself in this way, you gain the presence of mind to choose a response rather than letting emotions control you. Another practical step is to adjust your expectations. So often, our impatience stems from an unconscious expectation that things should go exactly as we've planned. We expect the meeting to end on time, the line at the store to move quickly, and the people in our lives to act according to our script. But when we remind ourselves that life is unpredictable and outside our control, we allow room for life's natural ebbs and flows. Instead of being frustrated by delays or unexpected changes, we can see them as opportunities to practice resilience, to let go of rigid expectations, and to grow more adaptable. The next time you feel impatience rising, try to see the situation as an opportunity, not an obstacle. Every test of patience is like an exercise for the mind, a way to strengthen your resolve and grow your capacity for calm. Like a muscle that grows with use, patience becomes easier with practice. Each time you choose patience over frustration, you're building mental strength, reinforcing your ability to stay centered in future challenges. The rewards of this practice are immense, but you'll need consistency to unlock them. Be an example. Epictetus wasn't just a philosopher in words, he was a philosopher in action. Born into slavery and eventually becoming one of the most respected Stoic teachers, he truly understood adversity and the power of integrity. For Epictetus, Stoicism wasn't about abstract theories or lectures, it was a way of life. He urged his students to embody their philosophy, to make their lives a reflection of their values, and to be an example for others through their actions. Living by your principles isn't just beneficial for you, it creates a ripple effect that can inspire and elevate those around you. Imagine the impact you can have simply by living out your principles. When you demonstrate kindness, even in the face of anger or impatience, people notice. They might not say anything, but your kindness can soften the edges of a tense situation, and it might even inspire others to respond with kindness in return. Similarly, when you hold on to integrity, refusing to compromise on your values even when it's challenging, you set a standard for those around you. You show that it's possible to live with honesty and honor, and this quiet resilience can encourage others to do the same. Then there's resilience in the face of adversity. Life will test us all, sometimes in very public ways. If you can meet challenges with a calm, composed attitude, maintaining your values even under pressure, your actions become a beacon for others who might be struggling. Think about how powerful it is to see someone handle hardship with grace. It reminds us that strength and calmness are choices we can all make. Your resilience can be a source of hope and encouragement for those around you, showing them that they too can weather the storms. But how do we actually live this out? How do we make our lives a true example for others? Well, it begins with a discussion with yourself. It begins with self-reflection. Again, take some time to ask yourself first and foremost if you truly believe there's a need to lead by example, to influence others positively, not to solve your problems with them, but to guide them towards a better life. It's about asking yourself if you truly believe your problems will reach their rightful end when you show them how it's done. But that's not all. You need to ask yourself, you need to know what values truly matter to you. What kind of person do you want to be, and what principles do you want to stand by? Is it kindness, honesty, courage? Once you have clarity on these values, the next step is to align your actions with them. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Nobody is. Living with integrity is not about achieving flawlessness, but about striving, about making a sincere effort to embody your values each day, even when it's difficult. Being an example is especially meaningful when you're consistent in your values. It's easy to do the right thing when it's convenient or when people are watching. But true integrity shines through in private moments, when no one is there to see your choices. This consistency builds trust and respect. When people see that your actions align with your words, that you are the same person in public as you are in private, they come to see you as a person of genuine character. It's this consistency that truly inspires others. But what about those inevitable moments when you fall short? We all have lapses in judgment, moments when we react instead of respond, or times when we might compromise on our values. The Stoic approach isn't to avoid mistakes at all costs. It's to learn from them. When you slip up, don't be afraid to own it. Apologize if necessary, and take time to reflect on what went wrong and how you can avoid the same mistake in the future. This humility is just as powerful an example as any other action. When others see you own your mistakes and commit to growth, it reminds them that they too can rise above their own errors and continue on a path of self-improvement. Epictetus encouraged his students to be true to their principles in every situation, no matter the circumstances. When we strive to live out our values consistently, we create a foundation of trust, respect, and integrity that others naturally respond to. And when we show up this way, when we live as examples of kindness, resilience, honesty, or whatever virtues we hold dear, we don't just improve ourselves, we create an environment that invites others to do the same. Tune out the haters. In our hyper-connected world, negativity can seem almost inescapable. Everywhere we look, whether on social media, in the news, or even in casual conversations, there's no shortage of criticism, judgment, and haters. It's easy to feel as though we're under constant attack, and if we let it, this external negativity can seep into our minds and rob us of our peace. But Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest minds, offers us a powerful antidote to this, the concept of the inner citadel, a mental fortress that no external negativity can penetrate unless we allow it. Imagine this inner citadel as your personal sanctuary, a place of strength and calm within you, unaffected by the storms outside. This space of inner peace is something you control entirely. No unkind comment, harsh judgment, or outside opinion can reach this core unless you give it permission to enter. This realization is incredibly empowering because it reminds us that we don't have to be victims of negativity. Instead, we can be protectors of our own peace. So how do we keep this inner citadel secure? How do we tune out the negativity without becoming bitter or indifferent? By recognizing what is and isn't within our control. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, we can't control what others say, think, or do. We can't stop people from leaving rude comments or spreading unkind rumors. But we do have control over how we respond. We can choose to not engage with negativity, to not internalize hurtful words, and to not let external opinions disturb our inner calm. This choice is like reinforcing the walls of our inner citadel, keeping negativity at bay and our peace intact. Another powerful Stoic strategy is to consider the source of the negativity. As we've already seen, often people who lash out or criticize harshly are dealing with their own struggles. They may be projecting their insecurities, frustrations, or pain onto others. This doesn't excuse unkind behavior, but it does allow us to see it for what it is, a reflection of their issues, not ours. When we understand this, it becomes easier to respond with compassion rather than defensiveness. Instead of letting anger or hurt take root, we can let go of the need to react. We realize that their negativity is their burden, not ours to carry. Practicing mindfulness is also a powerful way to protect our inner citadel. We come back to the pause again. When faced with negativity, take a moment to pause and breathe. The pause creates a mental space that allows us to observe our emotions without being controlled by them. Remind yourself that this moment of negativity is just that, a moment. It will pass, like a cloud moving across the sky. You don't have to let it define your day, your mood, or your sense of self-worth. By staying present and grounded, you can keep your inner peace intact, choosing not to let outside forces dictate your internal state. Surrounding ourselves with positivity is another practical way to strengthen our inner citadel. While we can't control everything we're exposed to, we do have a say in the people we spend time with, the content we engage with, and the environment we create. Make a conscious effort to connect with supportive people, to engage with uplifting content, and to fill your surroundings with things that bring you joy and peace. This doesn't mean ignoring reality by embracing brain rot or shutting out constructive feedback, but it does mean choosing what you allow into your mind and heart. In many ways, curating your life experience is an act of self-care. If we constantly allow negativity to take up space in our minds, it's like inviting chaos into our sanctuary. But by choosing positivity, we reinforce the strength of our inner citadel, keeping our focus on what uplifts us rather than what drains us. It's important to remember that tuning out negativity isn't about building walls around your heart or becoming indifferent. It's about consciously choosing where to direct your energy and attention. If we let every criticism or negative opinion affect us, we give others control over our happiness. But when we focus on our own values and stay true to our principles, we build an unshakable foundation of inner peace. We create a space within ourselves that is resilient, calm, and ready to face whatever comes our way with grace. Be full of love. Stoicism, often seen as a philosophy of rationality and self-discipline, also holds a profound place for love, one that goes beyond mere emotion and becomes a way of life. For the Stoics, love isn't just a feeling that comes and goes based on circumstances. It's an intentional choice, a way of interacting with the world that has the power to uplift, transform, and connect. Seneca reminds us that love isn't something passive or limited to our close relationships. It's an active force, a benevolent energy we bring into our interactions to solve problems with people. And remarkably, this kind of love has a ripple effect. The more love you put out into the world, the more you find it returning to you, often from the least expected places and people. In the Stoic sense, to be full of love means to approach each person with goodwill and a genuine desire for their well-being, regardless of how they may treat us in return. Imagine what it would feel like to approach every interaction with the belief that everyone you meet deserves compassion, patience, and respect. This doesn't mean we need to tolerate harmful behavior, but it does mean we can respond to it without bitterness or malice. When we meet someone with a kind disposition, we naturally experience warmth, but Stoic love also extends to those who are challenging. Even those who might come across as negative or difficult are worthy of understanding because, as Seneca points out, they too have struggles and burdens we may know nothing about. This Stoic love also embraces forgiveness, which is essential for genuine connections and for freeing ourselves from resentment. When we forgive, we're not just letting someone else off the hook, we're releasing ourselves from the emotional weight that comes with holding on to anger or hurt. By practicing forgiveness, we recognize that others, like us, are imperfect, prone to mistakes, and shaped by their unique struggles. When we choose compassion over retaliation, we lighten not only their load, but also our own, creating a space for peace and empathy rather than tension and resentment. Essentially, we recognize our shared humanity, our interconnectedness with each other. In the Stoic view, love extends beyond just relationships with people. It's about cultivating a love for life itself. This means embracing all of life's ups and downs, its unexpected twists and inevitable challenges, with an open heart. Instead of resenting what life throws our way, we can learn to see each experience, pleasant or difficult, as an opportunity for growth and learning. This form of love is rooted in acceptance and gratitude, in finding joy in the small moments like a beautiful sunset, a child's laughter, or the warmth of a cup of tea. It's about appreciating the world as it is, even with its imperfections, and choosing to engage with it positively and meaningfully. Such love comes readily with acts of kindness. Offer a genuine compliment to a stranger, send a thoughtful message to a friend, or express appreciation to someone who often goes unrecognized. Love, in the Stoic sense, is built from these small, intentional acts of goodwill. Reflect on your actions and intentions regularly. By taking a moment to ground yourself in these values, you begin to act with purpose and authenticity. And when you encounter someone who is unkind or disrespectful, remember that responding with understanding instead of anger is an act of strength, not weakness. This doesn't mean being passive or accepting mistreatment. It means choosing to respond in a way that aligns with your own values, rather than letting others dictate your emotional state. Another powerful way to cultivate this loving Stoic approach is to practice gratitude daily. Reflect on the things, big or small, that bring you joy, fulfillment, and connection. Cherish what you have. Cherish your loved ones. Gratitude is an acknowledgement of the abundance in life, and it shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, from resentment to appreciation. When you approach life with gratitude, you're more likely to interact with others from a place of love and kindness, rather than competition or judgment. You're more likely to be able to solve problems with people. Being full of love doesn't mean being naive or ignoring the reality that some people may act selfishly or unkindly. Instead, it means choosing to meet life's challenges with compassion rather than anger or fear. This kind of love is courageous because it's rooted in the strength to hold on to our values, even when circumstances are difficult. Choosing love in a world that often promotes fear, division, or anger is a radical act, one that creates real contentment and connection in our lives. The beauty of this Stoic love is that it doesn't depend on external conditions. It's something we can cultivate within ourselves, regardless of how others act or what the world throws at us. In choosing to live with a Stoic love, we embody the principles of patience, forgiveness, and understanding. We recognize the shared humanity in everyone we meet, and we find ways to connect rather than to judge or separate. This choice, this commitment to love as a way of life, is transformative. It creates a sense of fulfillment that external rewards cannot match, bringing us closer to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us in a deeply meaningful way. Stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is as natural as breathing. It's an instinct woven into our being, a way for us to assess and interpret the world, to discern potential threats and opportunities. In its primal form, comparison serves as a tool for survival, giving us quick insights into what may help or harm us. But outside survival, when comparison spills into everyday interactions, opinions, and self-worth, it transforms into something more insidious, an influence that Stoic philosophy warns can easily disrupt our peace, clarity, and self-mastery. When we start measuring ourselves against others, not for meaningful self-growth but from a place of envy or insecurity, we're setting ourselves up for a storm of negative emotions that only pull us further from our goals and values. This mindset is like a mental trap. Instead of motivating us, it drags us into a downward cycle of envy, insecurity, and constant frustration. Our minds begin to race. Am I falling behind? Am I less successful, less capable, less important? Such questions don't bring us any closer to who we want to be. Instead, they rob us of peace and clarity, leaving us feeling perpetually unsatisfied. The Stoics remind us that this obsession is a trap, a futile pursuit that diverts our energy away from purpose and integrity. In focusing on these external comparisons, we risk neglecting the one thing we truly control: ourselves. The drive to appear successful, admired, or envied by others is seductive, drawing us into the very trap of focusing on what we cannot control. And here lies the root of the issue. When we start comparing ourselves with others, we're setting our worth to arbitrary, often unachievable standards. Worse, we begin to make choices that don't serve our values, but only what we think will make others value us. Suddenly, we're obsessively caring about what people think, stuck in a loop. This cycle of frustration, as Stoicism teaches us, must be broken. Rather than pouring energy into things we can't change, the Stoic path calls us to turn our focus inward, channeling it into our own growth and into qualities we can influence, such as kindness, wisdom, self-control, and the pursuit of our personal goals. This shift from external comparisons to focusing on yourself isn't just about ignoring others. It's about finding alignment with your own values. When you stop chasing others' approval, you begin to experience a profound liberation that only comes from knowing that you're acting in line with what you believe to be right. The Stoic approach is simple but incredibly powerful. Recognize that your best work and highest fulfillment come not from imitating others, but from following your own unique path. Focus on what you can control: your thoughts, actions, and virtues. The Stoic virtues of courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance serve as a compass, guiding you back to what truly matters. When you ground yourself in these principles, you feel an inner stability that doesn't waver, because it's built on values that aren't subject to others' shifting opinions. In shifting your attention from external validation to cultivating your own virtues, you break free from the trap of comparison and its insecurities. You stop chasing the approval of others and start dedicating yourself to the kind of person you want to become. Instead of striving to be like someone else or to meet arbitrary standards, you build a life rooted in purpose, guided by principles, and resilient in the face of judgment. The Stoic approach shows us that by embracing our own journey and by living with integrity, we experience a deep and abiding sense of contentment. And so, when we focus only on what truly matters, when we commit ourselves to living virtuously and developing our character, we release the heavy burden of comparison. This is how we realize that we are enough, exactly as we are, and that a life of true fulfillment lies in the pursuit of our own best self. If you like what we do, feel free to do more by liking and sharing the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, to the community. How, you ask? By hitting that like button as a symbol of your commitment to change, by subscribing to join a community where wisdom isn't just shared but lived to help us create powerful stuff. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, the gentle chime of a Stoic philosopher, reminding you to return to this space of learning and growth. Each like, each subscription, each notification is a step towards a collective awakening. And if you feel that stirring in your heart, a resonance with the words of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus, share this video. That will help us immensely in continuing to create unique and powerful stuff for the community. Everything changes when you truly hear what Stoicism has been telling us all along. Everything gets better. Your self-discipline, your self-control, your temperance, your cultivation of inner peace and resilience, your self-awareness, your equanimity. You practice forgiveness more often. You stop caring what others think. You start to live with a sense of calm, clarity, and purpose. Even the practice of Stoic principles of the dichotomy of control, negative visualization, memento mori, amor fati, and the view from above gets easier and, more importantly, effective.